But in this one, they just became distracting. They just became pieces to a puzzle that doesn't really come together. And again, it's just solely focused. Welcome back, Will Smith fans. And it looks like the Fresh Prince wasted no time since the slap.
Oh, wow!
Emancipation is the actor's brand spanking new performance vehicle coming soon to Apple TV Plus and launching him into the 2023 awards season. Nevertheless, based on a true story where we follow Peter, an enslaved man who risks his life to escape and return to his family, embarking on a perilous journey of love, endurance, and freedom. And apart from knowing that it starred Smith and was directed by the great Antoine Fuqua, I honestly never knew about the real life story that takes place in early 1683 after Lincoln passes the Emancipation Proclamation declaring every enslaved man to be a free man. But if that premise sounds way too familiar, it's because it unfortunately is. We have seen thousands of stories from this very starting point before, and I admire Antoine Fuqua as a filmmaker. He brings to this his natural grit and grueling nature to a ton of the visuals here. This is nevertheless a true story about a man attempting to escape slavery and all the horrors that he witnesses along the way as he journeys back to his family, running away from his former owners, as he attempts to live a basic human life. And overall, this film's heart is in the right place. It has compelling ideas, and Fuqua brings his harrowing grittiness to illustrate what this man's life and experiences were like. You can tell there's a lot of passion behind the scenes, and also that's why they pick Will Smith, a big movie star, to bring this story to life and to have a lot of eyes on it. But unfortunately, the execution just doesn't bring all these elements together. You cannot commend a film for its intentions, and the execution just feels like it crumbles under the weight of this film's many significant ambitions. And so overall, there's something disingenuous about this final result, where it feels specifically designed and engineered to be this Will Smith starring vehicle to bring him back from the wastelands into the open arms of the court of public opinion. And this story, this man, Peter, deserved better, rather than being used as a vehicle for the star of the film and not the other way around. And it feels like the story is trying to serve him. I don't think the filmmakers had that intention, but that's how the final result comes across as you witness this film, and the sole focus is on Will Smith himself. There's something icky about this specific story being used to that end. And I don't even think Will Smith should have been ostracized and left on a blacklist or anything like that. But it just feels like they're overcompensating, and this story suffers for it. But as much as I can admire the ideas and concepts in the film, as well as Antoine Fuqua as a filmmaker, he just feels like the wrong person for this job. He is great at many things when it comes to being a storyteller, but he is not known for his subtlety and soft touch when it comes to allowing for more intimate, introspective scenes to breed. And while Smith is giving it his all, he fully commits to this performance. There are many grueling sequences where it's just this dude trying to survive. As he is constantly on the run, he barely feels like he has enough time to catch his breath. And while Fuqua's direction is somewhat emanating his high adrenaline action sequences, the bulk of this film plays out like the slowest chase scene ever, where it's just Smith running away from these three dudes, one of them fantastically, frighteningly played by Ben Foster, who can just embody a character effortlessly. But the tension is not raising, the intrigue and the intensity are not racketing up as the film unfolds. It's just very slow. In about the 1 hour mark, there's something else that happens with Smith's family, but because he is not aware of it, because that does not change his trajectory or his motivations throughout the film, it barely feels like it leaves an impact in the narrative. It's just something that is presented, and it's interesting because their lives keep going. They face very different dangers than he does over on this side of Louisiana. And as he journeys to get back closer to them, it just feels like they're drifting further apart. But nothing of what is affecting him or his family has an impact, has an influence on their choices and decision making through the film. So it just feels completely disconnected. And in a film that moves so slowly, you'd expect some memorable moments, some character-driven sequences where it just shows the worldview of our characters changing. But none of that is present here. It's a film that just feels so nakedly and blatantly focused on having Will Smith give a performance so he can maybe be nominated at the next Oscars. And when a film's sole intent and focus is on that, to a point where it's stripped down of any other nuance or sophistication when it comes to storytelling, it just becomes so distracting. What's also distracting is the visuals in this film that just feels like an amateurish attempt of recreating what was done in The Revenant with Emmanuel Lubezki's naturalistic lighting and the gritty look to the film. They desaturate the visuals here so much, but they never fully commit to it. It never feels like they go 100% black and white. They always stay in that awkward 80 to 85% stage, and it just looks completely off. To the point where I can't guarantee anything, but it looks like the black and white, or supposed black and white effects, were added in post-production and not actually shot in black and white. The cinematography is just baffling as a whole. The muted tones are grating to the eyes. They do not enhance the experience, but rather make you question the whole experience. And it's a film that takes a shift in the last half hour, where it's essentially a very slow chase scene, and then suddenly it turns into 1917. But it just feels wholly derivative of these other films, where it's constantly evoking the feel of watching those great experiences that were put together with heart and care, and all the pieces came together. But in this one, they just became distracting. They just became pieces to a puzzle that doesn't really come together. And again, it's just solely focused on allowing Will Smith to shine and give a great performance. And he does give a great performance, but the film's focus is distractingly solely on that, to the point where the fact that he gives a great performance takes away from the rest of the film, where it doesn't feel like he becomes this character. It just feels like he's trying his damn hardest to earn an award or at least a nomination. And it's a shame, because this is a story filled with potential. This is a filmmaker that I adore. This is an idea that is ripe with interesting, intriguing concepts. And there's an idea here of family and faith guiding us through the worst of times. But the film barely alludes to them. It pays lip service to this idea and to this concept that would ignite the fervor inside this character, this man who, despite being physically abused, being put through the physical and emotional ringer, and how that changes him. But you see none of that. You see none of that transformation through the performance, through the character journey. You just see Will Smith giving his all, but you never stop seeing Will Smith. But before I dive into my final thoughts on Emancipation, here comes the fun part. It's when you start the conversation about it in the comments below. And if you're enjoying this review, there's many more reviews for you to enjoy on the channel. You can find all of those right up here. Or if you just want to talk more movies and TV, this is the place to be. So consider clicking that subscribe button, and you won't miss any future conversations on your favorite movies and TV. Emancipation is well-intentioned and boasts a fully committed performance from Will Smith, but it's a shallow performance vehicle, visually distractingly desaturated with a one-note, simplified narrative, unable to overcome its repetitive storytelling and derivative themes. As a whole, I found it utterly disheartening. I'm giving Emancipation a D+. That will do it for my take on Emancipation. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to let me know your thoughts on it in the comments down there. Big thanks to my channel members for always supporting the channel, and I'll be back very soon with more videos. I'll see you there. So until then, love each other and love the movies.